Hi, everyone, and welcome to the last REFSIX weekly of the season. It's been an absolutely crazy season, so much to review that we've done. I hope you enjoyed the podcast, but this will be the last one for the season. Don't worry, we will be doing some specials during the Euros, but in terms of weekly, this is the last one. I am joined once again by my co-hosts, John and Rimon. How you guys doing? All good?
Yeah, good here.
Excited for the last one?
Yep, always.
Brilliant. On this week's podcast, we're going to be reviewing the last few games of the season. So the Champions League, Europa League finals, and the playoff finals. A few different incidents that we're going to cover later on. But I'm going to just quickly start with some of the news, as we always do. So in terms of Champions League, guys, bit of a surprise. Well, in both games, Europa League and Champions League final, bit of a surprise. Villarreal beating Man U, I thought was a surprise, and Chelsea beating Man City, although they've beaten them twice in the last 6 weeks, I thought was a big surprise too. But in terms of the Champions League final, the runaway kind of man of the match for most people watching was the referee, Antonio Lahoz, Spanish official. What did you think of his performance?
Yeah, I thought it was great.
Yeah, he did a great job. Amazing referee.
And what's interesting is because I've discussed his style with friends in the past, and some think it's a little bit over the top, and some love that kind of more personality that he shows in refereeing. And we'll touch on some of the specific incidents from the game, but overall body language, he's quite eccentric, I guess, as a referee. But you thought he handled it well, and like I said, most people's man of the match for the game. So really interesting to see. Great performance in the Champions League final. It's been announced in some quarters that the Euros will be his final hurrah. He will be retiring after that. There's not been an official announcement, but a few reports suggesting that might be the case. And what I've noticed in the past, so in 2012 and 2016, the referee who did the Champions League final also did the Euro final. So he might be in with a great shout, especially after that performance. So one to look out for, especially if Spain don't make it to the final. So that's some news there. And then a report from the Daily Mail that's came out this week. And the Daily Mail have had previous sources in the PGMOL, so they normally are pretty accurate. They've stated that there's 5 referees from the EFL Select Group 2 group that are being interviewed currently for promotion into the Premier League. So we know that Lee Mason has retired. He's now going to, instead of being a referee, he's going to be a full-time VAR. So it leaves at least one spot available for a referee to be promoted to. There may be more, but almost certainly there's at least one. And there's 5 referees, according to the Daily Mail, that are up for that position. Tony Harrington, who refereed the League One playoff final and also the FA Trophy final, is up for the position. John Brooks, who actually used to be a FIFA assistant referee, he gave up his assistant referee role, went back down the ladder to just focus on refereeing. He's been a Select Group 2 referee for a couple of years, and he's in with a shout. Michael Salisbury, who's actually a relatively new SG2 referee, is in with a shout. Keith Stroud, who used to be in the FA's refereeing department, he's one of the older SG2 referees and has refereed in the Premier League before, is being interviewed. And probably the one that is catching most people's attention is Jared Gillett, who's the Australian FIFA referee who moved here last year for work and has been Select Group 2. He's reportedly being interviewed as well. So 5 different candidates there, all have variety of different skill sets and different backgrounds that are really interesting. So we'll wait to hear the outcome. Normally it's, when the names get released, it's probably about a week before we'll hear. So should be something this week or next week in regards to that. John, any of those names in particular that you think are that you've watched specifically?
I've always been a big fan of John Brooks, actually. I met him at a conference maybe 4 or 5 years ago when he was FIFA listed assistant referee. And he's always sort of been someone I've kept up with. Jared Gillett as well is another one that seems to have done quite well. Had a FIFA badge, you know, has been tipped to do this sort of next step for a while now. But they're, and obviously, is it Tony Harrington?
Yeah,
Was the one that did the League One playoff final, and they're usually a pretty good shoe-in for the step. So it looks like there's like 3 very suitable candidates to go up.
Yeah, no. So I'm excited to see what comes out of the interviews. But almost certainly there will be at least one new face in the Premier League next year, maybe 2. We'll see. But that's the news. We're moving into kind of Euro squad announcements. The refereeing squad has already been announced a few weeks ago. And we'll be covering some of the incidents and the appointments throughout the Euros, in kind of some special podcasts that we'll do and some stuff on Instagram. So definitely make sure to keep an eye out and check on that. But Rimon, let's move into some of the key incidents from the week.
Yeah. So just before we do that, do we know why he's retiring from being referee? I mean, because he's only 44 years old, right? And he didn't look like a referee that's tired and
Yeah,
so,
yeah. I don't know. You know, it's sometime. No, there's no official report, so there's no element or conversation about what he's said. But you know, some people want to go out on the top, right? And
yeah, probably.
Champions League final is definitely the top, and who knows what the Euros has in store. So really interesting. I know when I've seen like conversations with people like Howard Webb in the past that refereed the year after the last World Cup and said he'd probably rather have gone out on a little bit of a higher note than, you know, continuing going on. So maybe that's an element there too, but who knows?
Yeah, because I don't know if you guys remember Colina from back in the days, because he had a personality, right?
Yeah.
When he was out on refereeing, and somehow Antonio Lahoz also reminds me of him a bit.
Mm-hmm.
When there's a foul or something, he just runs over there and says, "Hey, listen, guys, move on." And
Yeah.
I like the way he referees, and he just reminds me a little bit of Colina from before. So yeah,
I think that's a great comparison, definitely.
cool. Yeah, so we have last week's incidents, and we're gonna start with the playoff for Premier League. Swansea against Brentford. So yeah, the referee Chris Kavanagh, and there was an incident where there was a red card shown by Chris Kavanagh, and it was for Swansea player Jay Fulton. So the situation, how it played out was minute 65. The play was on the right side of Brentford's goal, of Brentford's half, and for some reason, I don't know if it was by an accident or something, but Jay Fulton stepped on Mathias Jensen's foot, and yeah, and they both fall down. The referee gave a red card right away. There's no VAR. Looking at the replays again and again, for me, it looked a bit like an accident. It wasn't intentionally. So I'm looking forward to hear from you guys what you think, what you guys' thoughts are about it.
I thought it was the ugliest it's possibly the ugliest challenge I've seen this season, mainly because it was
clumsy, right?
It was clumsy, reckless, and excessive force and dangerous all in one, right? Because I think it was accidental. So I think it was his left foot catches the ankle or almost like stands on the ankle of the Brentford player. And that was probably the accidental piece. But that's caused the Swansea player to almost slip and follow through with his right leg. So it almost looks like a 2-footed challenge. Yeah. It was just ugly. And the player actually, I think, instantly knew that it was just a poor challenge, right? The Swansea player. So for me, it was a great red card. I really like the fact that Chris got his red card out straight away, because all of a sudden, you know, it stopped any mass confrontation happening. So that was the beauty of a quick card here. But yeah, it was one of those where you watch it back and you're like, oh, as soon as you go, oh, you know something's wrong. John, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's an easy red to give. I think he gave it quickly. Like, credit where credit's due. I was speaking to some of my friends, and they were saying that Chris Kavanagh's fitness hasn't been all that great in recent years, and he looked fit and he looked great, and he was in the right positions all the time. But yeah, with the red card, I think he's caught his ankle. It's caught his ankle high. There's no real intention to play the ball. It may look like an accident, but I think the Swansea player knew that he wasn't going to get the ball and he was going to get some of the man. And unfortunately, he's caught him high. And I think it's a fairly easy red to go for serious foul play.
And I think the key thing here is, even if it was an accident or not, if it was reckless or if it was excessive force, there's a yellow and red card that needs to follow. It doesn't matter if there's an accident at all. But yeah, it looked accidental, but then you've got to still think, is the challenge reckless? Is it excessive force? And you've got to deal with that as best you see fit. So yeah.
So for me, I was looking at the position of the referee, because if he was far away, he couldn't see the accident. But I think he, as you said, John, he was fit and he was close.
And what I think he did most importantly there was, he was about 10 yards back from the incident, which is where you'd expect the referee to be, 10, 15 yards away from it. But what he did was put in that quick sprint when he gave the red card to be there, so that basically when the Swansea player looked up, he was in the vicinity. It looked like that. So that added to the credibility of the decision too.
Yeah, so we all agree on the red card, So an easy one, as John said. Yeah. Right, so the next incident we're going to talk about is the League Two playoff. Bobby Madley was the referee. The game was, and you guys need to help me out here, between
Morecambe
and Newport, right?
Newport County.
Yeah. And so after 90 minutes, no. It was first at the minute of 106. There was a penalty given to Morecambe. So yeah, they're attacking. The home team is attacking, and Ryan Hines fouls the opponents from behind, and the referee gives right away a penalty. So there's a few things here. First of all, was it a penalty or was it not a penalty? And I think what we need to discuss here is, was it outside or inside the box? I don't know if you both saw it and again, because I had to see it again. And was there contact as well? I mean, again, a penalty or not. So John. Oh, Hassan, yeah, you go.
Yeah, no, I wasn't watching this live, and I got a text message saying, "Have you seen this penalty? It's a definite dive." Right, that's what I received, and I looked on Twitter, and that's what people were seeing. So then I watched it back, and I don't think the angles are great at all on any of the camera angles. Right, I don't think you can clearly state that it was simulation or if it was a foul, and I don't also think you can clearly state if it was in the box or not, based on the fact that the angles were just really poor. When Bobby Madley gave the decision, he was looking through what seemed to be a pretty significant number of players, and that was just how, it wasn't bad positioning, it was just that's how the attack had developed, and there was a lot of players between him and the ball. He gave himself a few seconds to kind of almost replay it back in his head, I think, and then gave the penalty. So for me, I think it was, I personally, it's one of those where Bobby was in a better place than any of the camera angles that I can tell. And therefore, you could call it a soft penalty. I think the defender has impeded the player, and maybe he was already off balance, so it looks like he's dived. But to me, there was coming together. And then it's just, do you think that's a penalty or not? And I think depending on the day, you give that or you don't give that. I'm not sure.
Payoff, right? So
yeah. So I don't know, John. Yeah, I think you've got a alternate view to me here.
I don't think it's a penalty. I think the attacker was going down anyway, lost his balance, and I think the defender helped him out a little bit. It made it look better. But I also think that the first contact was outside the box.
Okay.
So I think the first contact is outside the box, and then he's fallen in. So, but obviously it's tight, and like you say, Bobby Madley was like looking through a few players, so it's difficult to see. And I know obviously there's no VAR down that level, but I think if it was VAR, I think they would have given probably a free kick outside the box, because, like I say, there's enough contact for it to be on one day a free kick and for another day not. But if it was me on a Sunday, Saturday, I'd probably say get out.
Interesting.
What I'm thinking here is, what about the lines of the assistant referee, right? Like, he probably had a better view than the referee, because I didn't see from the angle, from the camera angles, I didn't see Bobby Madley be near the situation. So I was thinking, what about the assistant referee? Did he go out and talk with him and figure out if there was an inside or outside? Did he see anything? And I couldn't find anything about it, and I couldn't see in the replay if he did talk with him or not. But again, it's without VAR, it's the old-fashioned way, right? You have to take a decision. He probably took it by looking at the player's reaction and so on. So yeah, I don't think it was a penalty either. Looking back, looking at the replays, his left foot was outside the penalty area.
So you think it's not a penalty because of the position, but you think it was a foul?
I don't think it was a foul either. I think I don't think it was a foul. If he wanted to give something, it was probably a free kick.
Yeah,
it's harder to see. It was. I mean, even looking at the replay, it's hard to see if it was inside and outside. It's just you have to take a decision in 2-3 seconds, right? So, but yeah, as I'm agreeing with John here, if they are looked into it, probably a free kick. It's hard to see if he was diving or not. You have to prove that he wasn't.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And you raise a good point about the assistant referee there. So I think we've talked about it in the past, John, on some of these pods where, if you're in doubt, obviously go and have a chat with the assistant, but the assistant can do a couple of things here to help you out. Once they know you've blown your whistle, they can make a move either down to the corner flag, which is a great indication to say they think it's in the box, or a couple of yards away to the left of the 18-yard box to give you a clear indication that they think it's a free kick. So that's some subtle kind of movements that only the officials would see or know that will help with communication, especially when you don't have the earpieces and the comms kit in the game. So, but there was one, Rimon, I don't know if you saw in the first couple of, I think it was in the first 10 minutes of the game, where a corner comes out, a corner goes into the box and the goalkeeper comes out, tries to punch the ball and misses it and gets the attacker. Did you see that one as well?
No, I didn't.
Okay. So John, maybe we can talk about this one where, I think it just happened as I said it, right? The goalkeeper for Morecambe comes out, goes to punch the ball, misses it, and contact is made with the fist to the attacking player. So that to me was a little bit more clear and obvious in terms of, I thought that probably was a penalty, right? What do you think?
I think it's tough. There's a lot, I know we shouldn't, keeper bias in terms of the keeper has a right to go for the ball there. It wasn't really out of his reach. He's just sort of messed it up. And the attacker has every right to go for it there as well.
Yeah.
So it seems to be like a bit of as if two players went up and headed it. And one of them's missed and the other one, it's a bit of a coming together. You obviously check on the player. Mm-hmm. But I think because the keeper's got a right to go for that and he can use his hands, it just happens to be.
I mean, I don't doubt that he's got a right to go for it, but let's put the ball on the floor and the keeper's gone to try and get the ball and he missed it and he trips the player. We're giving a penalty, right? So therefore, I think, okay, just because he's got a right to go for it with his hands, he's got to get it. If he misses it, it's a foul. So to me, I thought that was a penalty. I thought that was a yellow card as well for a reckless challenge. And just another incident I'd love to hear if anyone else agrees with John there on okay, well, it's kind of fair football or actually if it was mistimed and should have been a penalty. Love to hear from everyone. But sorry about that, Ramon. I just thought I'd add that one.
It's okay. The interesting thing here is like, what does the law say about it?
Yeah.
Like,
to me, To me, law says penalty.
Yeah. But there must. I mean, if there's nothing in the law about a goalkeeper coming out trying to fist the ball, but it hits the player instead, the opponents instead, there must be a law about it, right? There must be.
I think it's clear. I think it's a pen, but who knows? We'll move. Let's move on to the big game of the week. There wasn't much in the Europa League final apart from a ton of penalties, but from the mark after the game had finished with extra time. So let's move on to the Champions League final.
It was a boring game. I agree with that. And that's
boring.
All I have to say.
And Clement Turpin and his team were. No one's spoken about them, mainly because there wasn't many decisions to make. I think it was an effortless performance.
Yeah.
But he'd probably come out thinking, I wish there was something else there to referee, because it wasn't much to referee in that game.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, the big games, the Champions League final, Chelsea versus Man City. Very exciting game. Antonio Lahoz, as we have touched upon a couple of times in the beginning. So there were two situations, two incidents we're gonna talk about. The first one is the challenge between Rudiger and Kevin De Bruyne. So Man City is attacking on Chelsea's half. The Kevin De Bruyne plays the ball to the right to Mahrez, and out of nowhere, maybe probably for Kevin De Bruyne, Rudiger blocks Kevin De Bruyne's path. I think he hits him in the head. They both fall down. This was a minute 56, and yeah, what happens? There was a small break because medical needed to go in and check both of the players. But what do you guys think? I mean, there was one situation with the referee just right after that, but there was a yellow card for Rudiger, but I want to talk about the referees, the yellow card, how he gave the yellow card just a bit later, but just I want to hear you guys out, because last time we talked about Tottenham game, I don't remember who it was against, where Harry Winks fouls the player, and we were talking about it was only yellow card, and could there be done more? What do you guys think about this situation, John? Same or yellow card is fine?
No, see, I said this on the day that Rudiger, when you first see the tackle, Rudiger goes down and holds his head and sort of plays a head injury. But when you watch the replay, Rudiger goes in with his shoulder to De Bruyne's head. And my question to the people that I was watching it is like, are we considering serious foul play for this? Because he's endangering the safety of the opponent. De Bruyne is coming in at speed. He's used his shoulder to stop him, and that's obviously endangered De Bruyne's safety because he's walked off with concussion and a broken nose and a broke. So my question is it actually more than a yellow card? Because he has endangered the safety of Kevin De Bruyne at speed with his shoulder. So that would be that's my intake of it. I'm borderline sending him off.
Yeah, that's interesting. Hassan?
Yeah, I get where you're coming from on this, John. I wonder how much time Rudiger had to make a decision here. Like, I think it's a coming together. I think it's so quick that, to me, the yellow card is more for stopping a promising attack rather than a reckless. It is kind of reckless as well, but it's so quick that I don't think Rudiger's making I talked about accidental earlier, and it doesn't matter. But to me, it was an accidental collision. Rudiger hasn't got a huge amount of time to get out of the way, and it was a yellow. I don't think. I get where you're coming from, how you think it could be a red, but I'm not sure. I do know that the injury suffered by Kevin De Bruyne was severe, right? He had to go to the pitch afterwards. I think he actually had a fractured nose and
orbital bone, so it's his eye socket,
which is pretty significant. But also Rudiger's a man, huge guy, you know,
Yeah.
so you run into him, you're going to get hurt. So I don't know. I think a yellow card here was the right punishment. I think we talk about what does football expect. I think if that red came out, I think we have a different conversation about the performance of the referee after the game, because I think that wouldn't be what football expects in that scenario.
That's true.
But Ramon, go on. Let's talk about the actual administering of the yellow card.
Yeah, no, just before that, because I'm a bit split between you guys, like yellow, red, and this is where I'm gonna say it again. We probably need something more than just a yellow, but it's not a red. It's something in between, right? That where we a bit more fair play somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the wrong word to use here, but I just feel like the yellow card wasn't enough.
This is one of those where we talk about like a temporary dismissal option, right?
Yeah, probably. But yeah, let's leave it there. The yellow card itself, I was laughing so hard. I don't know why the referee had to do it, but Antonio Lahoz helped Rodrigo up. And at the same time, if he helped him up, he gave him a yellow card as well.
Yeah.
It's very funny. And for those who haven't seen it, go and find the clip. Probably there's a lot of GIFs.
Actually, there's one on REFSIX Twitter, so have a look on there because it's there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It was so funny. First time I've seen it. And this is just, for me, this tells me how an amazing referee Antonio Lahoz is. Like, he's hilarious. He's very good at his job. I saw him a lot of times during the game talking with the players, maybe throwing some small minor jokes here and there. Who knows? But what do you guys think about it?
Go on, John. You go first.
Yeah, I'm all for it. It showed that he had the respect of the players enough to do that, and that, you know, he grew into the game and he understood the game and where the game was going. Like, it takes a lot of courage to do something like that. So I've got all the respect for him, and the players respected him for it. But it also, I have no issues with like helping players up. Obviously, a yellow card's coming up after that, but you were obviously told that it could favor one person or it could, you know, seem wrong. But I think that shows like empathy and compassion for the game, and I think that is something that he was applauded for a lot, about, you know, understanding the game. And yeah, I thought I was all for it.
Yeah, I've seen majorly like 95% comments to that specific kind of display, congratulating that for the reasons John mentioned, like compassion and empathy. And then I've seen a few minority comments saying, actually, you know, it's unprofessional. You shouldn't do it in your games if you're lower down the levels, etc. And I think it's all about a judgment call and understanding the temperature of the game and the temperature of the players. And I think what he realized was he had the game in pretty much the palm of his hands. He showed the empathy to give Rudiger that lift up, and the yellow card was a necessity. It was going to come. I actually think it would probably look worse if he just stood there waiting for Rudiger to get up and then showed the yellow. I don't like that. I've seen that a few times. Quite a lot of referees will do that, and it's pretty normal. But actually just giving the player a lift up is just, it's another way to win them over. You're about to show them a yellow card either way, right? Whether you lift him up or not, he's getting a yellow card. So you're actually using that gesture of giving him a hand up to kind of win him over and make sure, you know, that the yellow card lands a little bit softer than it would have. So, yeah, I was all for it. I liked it. It was one of many a time where he showed his personality when he was refereeing. There was one time where I think Pulisic was breaking, and there was a coming together with a Man City defender. It could have easily been given as a foul, but he wasn't giving these soft fouls in the game, which was great. And what I saw was he sprinted over to Pulisic and had a word with him. And I think it was just saying, I don't know, I'm making assumptions here, but it felt like he ran over just to let him know, hey, I've seen it. It wasn't enough for me. I don't think you were kind of diving, but it was just not enough for me. So keep going, get on with it. And then he ran off, and it was a split second decision. But that few meters of sprinting he did, had a quick word and walked off. No one would have seen it Well, no one would have noticed it if you're just watching the game, right? You have to watch the referee. And I like that management because I think he was using that incident as a way to keep that player on his side, even though he hasn't given the foul for him. So there was loads of times during the game where his body language and his man management was shining through. And I think, Rimon, we're going to get onto another example of that now.
Yeah, we are. And so there was just 4 minutes later, there was an incident again where Sterling gets the ball in the penalty area of Chelsea and shoot at the goal. And yeah, the only guy was standing between him or just in front of the goal was Rhys James. So it hits him, well, somewhere. Other Man City players are indicating that was a handball, but we clearly see Antonio pointing out that it hits his chest first and then his arm. What do you guys think about that? Because I mean, it wasn't. He had a good positioning. He was standing in the correct place, and we had VAR and all of these things. But yeah.
Look, he made a decision which was no penalty, which was the correct decision. And then the next step was, how do I sell this decision, right? Yeah. And what happened was, as soon as the incident happened, I think there was 4, 5, 6 Man City players around him. So all of a sudden, his selling this decision needs to be big. It can't just be, hey guys, it was chest then hand. It couldn't be like that. He had to make a pretty
body language, right?
A pretty loud, getting his communication effectively. He went chest arm, like 3 or 4 times. And not only did it sell it to the Man City players, what it did was it said, hey, I've seen it. This is what I've seen. It hit the chest and the arm. And that's him saying, yeah, it has hit their arm, but it's not a handball because it's come off the chest. And he sold the Man City players, he sold the benches, and he sold the fans and the people watching in that 2, 3, 4 seconds of gesture that he made. Again, some people may have thought it was exaggerated, but actually it did what it needed to do, which was not. He could have just said, he could have just said no penalty and gone with it, right? But it was him using his tools to sell the decision and win people over, make sure they're on side, and allow Man City to understand they're in a game where there's a referee who's on the ball, who's looking at everything, and who's fair and concrete in his decision making. So perfect.
So, yeah. John.
Yeah, I think Hassan summed that up very well, to be fair.
So I have a question for you guys, because the yellow card, the process of the yellow card. As I saw, Rudiger didn't mind it, like there was no reaction. Mm-hmm. But what if it was a Premier League referee doing exactly the same thing? Do you guys think there will be a different reaction to it? Or is it just because this is a referee not from England and it was
I think it's an interesting question, slightly loaded question, but an interesting question in the sense that the difference being in the Premier League is the referees have got a more intimate relationship with the players because they referee them more frequently, right? In many cases, this may have been only Lahoz's first, second game with many of these players. So the relationships are a lot newer, a lot slightly different. I don't think there would have been a different reaction if it was Anthony Taylor or Michael Oliver and another Premier League referee. And I also think, and even Lahoz may not have done it if it was a different type of player. If it was a Diego Costa, for example, or a Luis Suarez, maybe you wouldn't do it because you know that they're slightly more reactive, whereas Rudiger's a little bit more probably someone that you'd communicate with throughout the game, right? So I don't think it would be different if it was a Premier League referee. I think even Lahoz would be different if it was a different player. Possibly.
Good answer, yeah.
I'm on fire today, guys.
Yeah. So I don't think this is the last thing we're gonna hear from about Lahoz. I mean, he, as you mentioned, I think he's a role model, right, for a lot of referees, and then probably he's gonna be out there and helping other referees. This is just me guessing. I'm hoping as well. So the whole management style.
I think the only thing that I will say when you mention Premier League referees is I think his style is very different to the Premier League referees. Maybe the closest, maybe Mike Dean in terms of the communication style. And the one that reminds me a lot of, I don't know, Ramon, if you remember this name, but Phil Dowd a few years ago was a very similar type of referee to Lahoz in terms of the body language and communication. I'd like to see more of it. I think from what we saw in terms of fan reaction, they actually liked the referee, which is very rare, right? And I think it helps that most of the English fans haven't seen Lahoz referee before, or they've seen him once or twice. The problem we have is Antti Tainer and Michael Oliver, et cetera. We see them week in, week out. We see the really great and we see the occasional bad that happens. So the fans are a bit blinded by the fact that they think this guy's just had a perfect game, which he did, but he's also made mistakes in the past, which they haven't been privy to, and they're not biased by those. So I think there's elements of that in there too that we got to be careful of when we talk about, I've seen loads of tweets saying, oh, let's get these guys to the Premier League. Let's import referees from different countries. But they're not seeing the mistakes that have been made. Referees are humans; they will make mistakes. No matter if you're, you could be Kalina, you could be Howard Webb, Mark Clattenburg, you could be Clement Turpin or Antti Lahoz. You're going to make a mistake, and people remember that, unfortunately. And so that's where I think we're doing a good job in England with the refereeing, and every country is doing a good job of refereeing. I wonder if there's an opportunity in the future where the referees could travel around, but you get a Spanish referee doing a Premier League game and an English referee going to do a La Liga game. That could be cool. I like that idea, but I don't know if the costs justify the reasoning behind that.
Well, you're definitely on fire today. So, John, let's move on to the main topic, because I think this is the next thing we're going to talk about. The main topics. So
so obviously coming towards the end of the season now, especially in England, we're coming up to the sort of final few games, if not finished. I've been finished for a while now, so obviously the next thing on my mind is pre-season. So obviously we've got a few questions in about what kind of training should I do, how many games should I do, how often should I train. So I just wanted to see what a regular pre-season is for obviously Rimon in Denmark, Hassan for you as a 5 and me as a 4. So I didn't know who wanted to start.
Yeah, I can go. So it all comes to your goals, right, and motivation. So for me, if I wanna be refereeing, if I wanna referee in the top league in Denmark, I probably wanna referee as often as I can. Probably also train every day. Running every day, doing intervals every day, or every second day. So I think it depends a bit on your goals. For me, when I started a bit older, and if I have 2 games in 1 week, I probably run 3 days, and the rest, the next 2 days, I'm gonna automatically be running, doing the game. So yeah, I mean. The training depends on your level of refereeing in Denmark. I mean, if you want to achieve more than just a normal referee, you're probably going to train every day, follow some training exercises, asking some people. You can ask. In Denmark, we have a local refereeing club here, and the elite referees joins as well, and you can ask them questions if you like, how they train. We have a Facebook group. You can post in there and ask people about their opinions. What can they do more to get into the highest league? So yeah, I mean, if you can referee every day and that's your passion, do it. train every day. If you can't, well, you probably need to ask somebody, how can I, and we have courses here as well, so we can join the referee 1 and 2, like assistant referee 1 and 2. And if you've done all of that and you're still in a good age, then you can continue doing the elite refereeing courses. From there, you can reach that, and automatically the training comes in as you go higher and higher. So yeah.
Good answer. I think a couple of things that Raymond pointed out, which I liked. What are your goals and motivations? Like, actually, I think you should start with that before you even go out and run. What do I want to achieve next season? Do I want to feel fitter than I did last year, or was I happy with my performance last year and I just want to maintain where I am? So those will inform what kind of training you do. Obviously, your work will, have an impact. When can you actually go and train? When are you able to? So coming up with a schedule and sticking to it is important. Obviously the Euros are going to be on, so there might be a few extra beers that you'll be drinking throughout June than normal. So factor that in. Maybe go for a quicker run, or maybe change your day that you're going to run because England or Denmark are playing the night before. You're probably not going to want to run in the morning after a game like that. Have a few beers. So planning is important. I think another thing that Raymond mentioned, which I like, and that I'm going to try and start to do this season, this preseason, will be trying to form a group or a few friends. I think when you're accountable to other people, you're more likely to train than you are on your own. So a lot of those, and try and John, you tell us to do this a lot, which is try and replicate your match day in terms of at least the exertion. Like, a lot of referees throughout the season will do a bit of training during the week, and only their main actual training is probably in the game, which is fine. But if you're losing those games every week, you need to make sure you're replacing, in terms of the fitness side, those activities. So think about that in terms of getting number of friendlies in. I would love to. I always try and get as many friendlies in as possible, just because I think it's great to be physically there, but also mentally you need to remember how to make a decision and see things and take and absorb things and actually communicate. You need to practice your communication style with players, and friendlies are a great way of doing that. So yeah, they're my kind of ideas. But John, what about you? You're obviously a little bit more younger and fitness centric and actually a higher level. So what are you thinking when it comes into preseason?
So whenever the season finishes for me, so I would have said 2 weeks ago, I said I'd take 2 weeks off in terms of trying not think about football, clear my head. It's a long season half the time. And I find that if, I'm in the thick of it, I start feeling it about March time. I think, God, this is tough, starting to burn out. So I'd take 2 weeks off, chill out. I do it slightly differently. I try not to take that many games, because I feel like if I do a load of games, then obviously that burnout period in March becomes February, and then that's still 3 months of the season to push. That's quite a lot. I like training with people that are better than me, that are faster than me, because it drives me forward to run faster, run harder, train harder. And I tend to have more of an athletic summer. I'll be in the gym more, heavy weights, because you can't get that sort of training. It's the only time you can get it, really, because during the season you don't want to be lifting heavy and being sore for games. So I treat it slightly differently, but I probably only do 3 pre-seasons a year, and I'll do 6 aside during the summer to keep my eye in, if you will, and that communication, because it's a lot easier and less mentally pressured than doing the games on a Saturday.
And probably, also because of this Corona situation, you probably need to plan a bit more. You need to be ahead of your plan, because people are not gathering as before. Especially in Denmark, we're not doing the gathering as we normally would have done to be with other referees. So it could be that a lot of referees needs to train by themselves before the next season starts again. but yeah, we need to adapt to the situation. Everyone does, probably.
We've all got fitness tests coming up, I'm assuming. I think mine's at the beginning of July, because I can't make the first one. But yeah, we've all got fitness tests coming. So people now is, do you train for the fitness test or do you train for refereeing? And I don't think we'll discuss this in a later pod, I'm sure, but I don't think the fitness test really replicates what it's like to referee, especially running for 12 minutes. So, you know, do you train for that or do you train to be a good referee on a Saturday?
And for some, there's also theory test, right? So it's not all physical test. So I know I have to do a theory test after the summer. So I also need to train for that. Open the law book. Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, I think that can draw a wrap to the REFSIX Weekly. I guess this was season 1 for our REFSIX Weekly pods, where we were, you know, hopefully sharing with you some tips and tricks around refereeing, talking about some of the incidents, sharing some news from the refereeing community. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back in a few weeks for when the Euros kick off. Super excited. We'll be obviously supporting England and Denmark from our side, but also the third team, all of the officials. We're looking forward to seeing them perform well. And hopefully not too much to discuss on these podcasts. We'll see how that pans out. There always will be. The laws are not black and white; they're grey, and we'll be talking about those grey areas. John and Raymond, thanks so much for your time devoted to this, and we'll speak soon. And I'll be keeping an eye out on pre-season, making sure we come back stronger. So take care. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you soon.